What's up everybody, and welcome back to another video. In this episode we are building another portfolio website with React.js. So basically this is a React portfolio website, and in this tutorial series we are going to be building this nice, good looking portfolio website that you are seeing right on your screen. So with that being said, let's explore what we are building in this video. So as you can see, we have this amazing nice sidebar with over effects on the links. We have the nice icons. We have the over effect on the button. And then we have this big logo animation. We have the theme template that has the light mode and the dark mode with different color mode, which is so cool. And we also have the about section. We have the cards section, and then we have projects, the blog, and then we have the contact me section. And most importantly, we have this gaming section that we are seeing right here. And this is something that we are going to be building in this video. So with that being said, let's get started. And before we actually start coding, we need to get the starter code that I already prepared for you guys. So let's navigate to my GitHub profile, and when you get to my GitHub profile, I will also leave the link in the description below. Just click on the repo and navigate to my repo. So click on the YouTube tutorial React portfolio. So when you click on it, you will see the final code and then the starter code. So the final code is the completed project, and then the starter code consists of the folder structures, the components, and then the Scss files that I already created in order to speed up our development. And for you to get the copy of this folder, you need to come here and click on the code. So you have two options: either you want to download this zip folder, or you want to copy the repo URL and then clone it into your desktop or wherever you want on your system. So in my case, I'll copy it and then clone it. So now I have to open my Visual Studio Code, or you can open your terminal. And right here, I want to open my terminal with Control backtick, or you can also click on terminal up here in order to and click on new terminal in order to open the terminal. And now I want to CD into my desktop. Alright, currently I am in the owner directory like so, and I want to CD into the desktop and run this command git clone and paste the repo URL that I copied from my GitHub profile. So when I do that, you can press enter, and then we clone the folder into our desktop. And now I will open my file tree with Ctrl B. Ctrl B like so, and then click on open folder. Let's navigate to the desktop, and then let's scroll down to the final place, and then now you can see the YouTube tutorial React portfolio folder. So let's click on it in order to open it in our Visual Studio Code. And now we have a brand new Visual Studio Code that has been opened. Okay, and what I want to do now is to open my terminal again with Control backtick, and now I want to CD into the folder that I just cloned to my desktop. Alright, so what I'm gonna do now is to run the command cd, and then currently we are inside the YouTube tutorial React portfolio because Visual Studio Code will automatically direct us to the folder when we open the folder. Alright, so now if I run the command ls, you will realize that let me enlarge this. YouTube and clear the terminal. If I run the command ls again, you will realize that we have the final code and then the starter code. Okay, so now I want to be working with the starter code. So all I have to do is to cd to the starter code like so, and then if I run the command ls again, you realize that all the folders that we have right here is already here. Okay, so now with that being said, we need to install all the dependencies that we are going to be using for this tutorial. All right, so now I want you to open the package.json, and for your reference, I have already installed all the dependencies that we are using, and for us to be able to have access to all the dependencies, we need to run the command npm install again, because when I pushed it to GitHub, we ignore the node modules folder. So now we are getting the copy back from the GitHub repo, and the node modules is missing. And now we have to run the npm install in order to get all in order to have the access to the modules that are already installed. As you can see, we have the swiper.js, we have the Scss in order to use Scss for the stylings. We have the React spinners, we have the React router dump, we have the React reveal, and so on. Okay, so all I want you to do now is to run the command npm install legacy peer deps like so, and make sure that you add this command legacy peer deps in order to avoid the conflict between the React and ES3. Okay, so right after that, just press enter, and before the installation will be complete, let me show you the folder structures, and yeah, and basically that's it. So inside the starter code, we can see VS Code folder. We don't care about it. We have the node modules will also be available when the installation is complete. We won't care about that as well. So we have the public folder, and in here we have the index.html, and you already see some links. And if you don't understand, don't worry. When we get to the section whereby we are going to use the links, I will talk more about it. And we shouldn't care about the manifest.json as well, it doesn't matter. And inside the src folder, we have the asset folder that contains images. In here we have a bunch of images that we are going to be using, and then the svgs. And here I have default images that we export from this file, and we are going to be using all these images in another component. And when we get to the section as well, I will explain more about it. And in here we have the logo that we are going to be using. We can close the asset folder out, and that's all we have there. So inside the component folder, we have different components that are already created. We have different subfolders, and inside the subfolders we have a file, JSX file, and then the SCSS file in each of the folder that you are seeing, and they are all empty for now. And as we go along, I will explain the usefulness of each file and then the folder that you are seeing. All right, so don't worry too much about it since they are all empty. And inside all the subfolders, we have a JSX file and then the SCSS file for that specific component that we are going to create. Okay, so inside the component folder, I also have an index file that we are also going to be using. It is also empty, and don't worry if you don't understand. For now, as we go along, I will explain everything. And we also have the data folder, and inside the data folder we do have something in these files. So the first one is the blog items. So I have arrays of objects, and I have array of objects, and each object represents each article that we are going to create on the portfolio website. Alright, we have the ID, the title, the brief, the slug, the image, and then the URL. And we are going to iterate over everything and display them nicely on our page. Alright, so the same thing is applicable with data.js. We have a bunch of icons that are already imported from React Icons, and React Icons is also a library that I have installed in order for us to make use of all the icons that they provide. So I have imported all these icons from the React Icons in order to speed up development. And when you scroll down a little bit, you will see 3 arrays of objects like so. And the first one is the sidebar menu, and the sidebar menu contains a text icon and a URL. So basically we are going to iterate over it and display all these items in the sidebar. So basically they are the links that we are going to navigate to different pages. So if I show it to you in action, we have the icon, which is the icon you're seeing, the text, which represents the links, and then the URL is the part that the link is going to direct us to. So like I said, we iterate over everything and we display them nicely on the sidebar. The same thing is applicable with the social icons, and then the skills card as well. So we iterate over the objects and then we display them nicely on the page. Alright, so like I told you, this is social icons and then the skill set. So when we get there, you understand more what I'm talking about. So let's close it out. And then we see the hooks folder that contains story files. We have the context API. I'm going to explain more about it when we start using the context API. We have a custom use fetch hook. There is nothing inside it, and then we are going to use the use reducer hook as well. So basically when we get there, we'll explain more about it. So the pages folder as well, we have the pages that we are going to display on the React portfolio. It has a JSX file and the SCSS file, and they are all empty. And inside the pages folder, I also have an index file that we are going to use as well. So I just want you to know that everything is empty except the one I showed you earlier. If you have the copy already, you can also go through it for your reference. And the utis folder as well with all the colors that we are going to switch the text to. It is also empty. And we have the app.js component. We have the app.scss as well. And in here, I already import the font, and I have import the animate module that I already installed as well. So animate.css is a library that will enable us to add custom animation to all the text that you are seeing. So whatever you are seeing on any animation you are seeing on the text like so is made by the animate.css. So we are going to use animate.css to achieve that. And in here I have basic SCSS styles that are already declared, so it's not a big deal. So as we go along the project, I will explain more about it. For example, the p tag adds custom styles to all the p elements. The same thing with the h1 to 6. We have custom color for all of them. The anchor tag, we have the URL list, and these are all the things that I expect you to understand, because this is a React portfolio and not a CSS or CSS tutorial. This is a React portfolio that we are building, and we are only learning about React, not CSS or SCSS. Alright, so but as we go along, I will explain more about it. And the same thing with the index.js file, which is the root folder, and it is also empty, and we can start from the index file. I'll start with the import. Let's import React from React like so, and let's import the create root from React DOM/client, like so. And let's also import the app component. Even though we don't have the app yet, we can create it in a second. And now I want to create a variable called root, and I'll assign it to the create root that we just created. And inside the parentheses, I want to select the ID that is in the index.html called root. So select the ID called root, and now we have to render it to the page. All right. So then I'll pass the app component, which is going to be the parent component for all other components. And right now we'll navigate to my app.jsx and run the command rafe to create a React functional component. And in here, I'll pass in a dummy text called hello world. I'll close my file tree with Ctrl B, open my terminal with Ctrl backtick, and then I will run the command npm start to spin up my web server. So before the web server will be ready, I want to import some few things from the React router DOM. And basically, they are going to help us to navigate through our pages and from one page to another. So let's import the browser router, the route, and then the route, like so. And they are all coming from the React router DOM, like so. So let's wait for the web server to be spinned up, and now we can actually start adding other additional necessary things that is going to be required for us to kick off and build our React portfolio. So I'm going to pause this video in a second, and when this is done, we'll continue from where we stopped. So now you can see we have the text hello world on our web page, and now we can actually start and close the terminal. Don't worry about all the things that you're seeing here. We'll fix the issue. And what I have to do, instead of returning this div hello, what I'm going to do now is to place the browser router inside the return statement. And inside the browser router, let me go with the route. And inside the route as well, I'll go with another route without the S. And there are some parameters inside the route that we are going to use. For example, the path, which is going to that is going to enable us to navigate to another page. And then the second parameter that we are going to use is the element, which is the component that we want to render when we navigate to that page. So for example, if I go to the completed project and then I click on the about page, so about, the path is the about, and then the page that we navigate to is the about component. So we are going to render all that. And oh, I'm sorry, we want to render the home, not the app. I'm sorry. So let's place the home right here. And for now, we don't have our home component. We haven't created the component yet. And the home folder, it's located in the pages folder. So let's navigate to pages. As you can see, let's navigate to pages, and inside the pages, you will see the home folder. And then we have a GSX file. Let's open it. And I will also run my command rafe to create a React functional app. And for now, the text will be home. All right. So let's navigate back to the app.jsx and let's import home from the home from the pages. And then we have the home. And then let's select the file home. Okay. So now if I navigate back to my web page, and you will realize that instead of hello world, now we are seeing home. Okay. So we are going to do another one example. So for example, let's say if I want to display the about page, all I have to do is to come here and then specify the path, which is going to be the about. and then we are going to render the about page. And currently we don't have the page yet, so let me navigate back to my pages, and inside the pages we have the about folder that contains 2 files. So let's open the JSX file, and in here I'll also run another command, rafce, to create a React functional component. And all I have to do now is to navigate back to my app.jsx and then import about, and then from pages, then the about will specify the path. Okay, so now we have the route or the about, and inside the about component we only have about. So if I navigate back to my web page, and currently we are in the home directory, and if I specify the about part, and you are going to see that we have the about right here. Okay, so that is what we are going to do for every single links that you are seeing right here. So when we navigate to the home page, you're going to see everything inside the home component, and when we navigate to about, you will see the about, and then the same thing with the project, and then the blog, and for all other links that we are seeing right here. So with that being said, let's go back to our app.jsx, and there's one thing that I want you to notice. So if I keep on adding the about page, the gaming page, the contact page, and every other page, you realize that this thing is getting repeated all the time. And as time goes on, let's say we have 100 pages to render on our website, everything right here is going to get messy. So in order to avoid repetition and all that, that is why I created an index file inside some folders. For example, inside the pages folder, you are going to see an index file. Okay, yeah, an index file inside the pages folder. Just open it, and what I want to do now is to have some default export. So I will say export and go with my curly brackets, and then I will say default as, and then the first component I want to export as default is the home, like so, and it's coming from the home folder. All right, that is coming from the home folder, and then we select the home file. So we'll do the same thing for the about as well. So we say export default as about, and it's coming from the about folder, like so, and then we select the file. So inside our app.jsx, instead of writing these 2 lines, we are going to replace them with import, and then we go with our curly bracket, and then we specify the component that we want to render, which is the home and then the about, and they are all coming from the pages folder. Okay, now they are all coming from the pages folder. Instead of specifying the about, the home, we are only specifying the pages, and the home and then the about that we declared here has been represented in here in the index file. Okay, so now we can come here and get rid of the first one that we declared, like so. For your reference, you can comment it out or you can delete it. And if I navigate back to my web page, and if I go back to the home, you will realize that we still have the same result. Okay, so if I also navigate back to the about, we are in the about page right now. So if you can do it that way, the state of your React component will be very, very effective, and you will be very, very free of bugs. All right, so now let's import other pages as well. So what I'm going to do now is to navigate back to my index.js, and now I will write export. Okay, I'll write export default as we have the contact page, and it's coming from the contact folder. And then the component, we have the export default as we have the gaming, and it's coming from the gaming, and then gaming we have export default as we have the block page, and let me write it properly, the block page, and it's coming from the block folder, and then the block page. Let's export default as we have the project page as well, project page, and let me write it very well, and it's coming from the project like so, and then the project page. Let's do two more exports. We have export default as we have the error page. We have the error page, and it's coming from /error page, and then the error 5. And let's export the final one, which is default as tutorial like so, and then it's also coming from the tutorial folder, and then you select the file. So these are all the exports that we are going to have in this index.js file that is located inside the pages folder. And now let's navigate back to the app.js and import everything. So we have the contact, like so. We have the contact, we have the gaming, we have the block page, we have the project page as well, and we have the error page, and we also have the tutorial page. So let me save it and format it very well. And now all we have to do now is to add all the routes. Okay, so now all I have to do is to duplicate it and change the path to contact with small letter C. And mind you, make sure that the path is the same thing with what we have in data.js that I'm going to show you very soon. And the component also to have to match with the one that we import right here. And let's do the same for others as well. So the path of this will be gaming with small letter G, and then the component like so. And let's import the other one as well. Okay, so we have the blog, and this one is just the blog, and inside the component folder we have the blog page. And now let's go with project. This one also has to be the project, and then the folder, the component has to be the project page, the one that we import. And let's add another part to this, which is the error page. Yeah, which is the error page, and this one has to be just the error page like so. And okay, sorry, the error page has to be the asterisk sign, and when you declare a path that is not among all these paths that we specify, and this page will direct us to an error page. Okay, and I will show that to you in action. But before that, let us add the final one. So before that, let us add the final one like so. And now we have the tutorial page. Okay, and in here we will just write the tutorial like so. And now let's navigate to our web page. So if I try to navigate to a path that does not exist in my app, we'll get an error message. And before I actually add the path, let's go back to the page. Inside the pages folder, and let's locate the error page in order to create the component. And I'll go with my RAFC to create a React functional component. And in here, you can see the error page. So I will navigate back to my web page in order to see it in action. And if I try to navigate to a part like dance, dance does not exist out of the part that we specified. If I do this, we get an error page. Okay, we should get an error page, and it's not working. I don't know why. Maybe we have to look inside the app.jsx, and yeah, we need to specify the error page, not the project page. So we need to render the error page and not the project page. Okay, so let's navigate back to the web page, and now you can see the error page. Okay, so that is that about that. And so after all these things that has been done, I want to close all the file and everything. And so now we start creating our context API. So before that, let's navigate to the SRC folder, and inside the SRC folder, you will see the hooks, and inside the hooks, click on the context API. So context API, basically, it is a way for React app to effectively pass global variables all across the React components. And it is also a way for us to avoid prop drilling. And if you know how ineffective prop drilling is, it is very, very difficult to study our code when we pass one prop to another component, and then to another component, and then to another component. So for us to avoid that, we are going to use context API, which will enable us to avoid prop drilling, and it will also make our app to be very, very well set up. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is to import few things from React, from React, and before that I have to pass my comma and then state everything that I want to import. So I'll go with the use context, I'll go with the create context as well, and we make use of the use effect, and we also use the use state hook, like so. So right now I want to create a variable called the app context, like so, and I'll assign it to the create context, and then I will invoke it. And what I want to do now is to create a component called the app provider. It has a prop called children. Let's pass it the children. And now in the return statement, I want to pass in the app context that we declare up here. We want to have access to the provider. It has a prop called the value, and basically these are the items that we are going to get back, the value that will be passed in here. And for example, for now, let me pass in a dummy text called hello, and close it out. And inside the app context, I want to render the children. Okay, so any global state that we create right here, we are going to pass it to the value, and from here we will have access to it in another component. Okay, so for now, just follow along and you will understand as we go along. And one thing that I want to do now is to create a global context. So we'll just go with my const and create a use global context, like so, global context, and it is going to return the use context, and I will pass in my app context that will declare up there. So basically, the usefulness of this use global context is to avoid repetition of use context all across our React components. So instead of importing use context and then passing the app context every time, all we have to do is to call this function, and we'll be able to get all the values that we want. So now I want to export the use global context like so, and then I will export the app provider. Okay, so they are named export. So now I will navigate back to my index.js, and inside the index.js I will import the app provider, from the hooks and then the context API like so. And instead of rendering the app component alone, I will pass in the app provider and I will pass in the app component. Okay, so basically any global state that is being created here will be passed into other components as well. Okay, we'll be able to use all that other global states on another component. Okay, so basically that is what it is. And now let's close everything and start creating our sidebar. Okay, so now let's navigate to the src folder again, and let's locate the component. And inside the component you will see a folder called the sidebar, and inside the sidebar let's open the sidebar.jsx and let's open the scss file as well. Okay, both of them are empty. And for us to start, let's create a functional app by React functional app by running the command refce, which is already created. And now I want to import few things from the React router DOM. So what I want to import now is the link and then the nav link. And basically both of them will enable us to navigate to different pages. And yeah, we have React router DOM. Okay, like so. And one thing that I really want to import as well is the icons, but I think we can leave it for now. And now inside the return, I want to go with my parentheses, and in here I will create aside tag, and it's going to have a class name called the aside, like so. And inside the aside tag, we'll have another class name called the aside wrapper. And inside the aside wrapper, I will go with the link that I import from React router DOM. It's going to direct us to the home route, and it's also going to have the class name of logo section. Okay, so let's add the class name logo section like so, and let's close it out. So inside the link, basically I want to pass in the logo and then the name. And for me to show that to you in action, let's navigate to the completed project. And you can see that we have the logo. And if I over it, you can see the icon that says that this thing is going to direct me to a page. And by clicking on it, it will always direct me to the home page. Okay, so that is what we want to do. We want to wrap the icon and then the text, the logo and then the text inside the link, so that if we are in any other pages and then I click on the icon, it will always direct me back to the home page. Okay, so now let's navigate where the logo is. Go to the asset folder, and inside the asset folder you should see this logo svg. So when you click on this logo svg, just copy it and you can close it out and paste it inside the link. Let me format it very well, and yeah, that is it. It has a custom class name called the sidebar logo and then the field color. Okay, so basically you should have the same thing. And right after the svg, I want to go with a span and then give it a class name of switch underscore color, and make sure that the class names are the same because I have already prepared all the SCSS styles that we are going to use. Okay, so inside the span I will write my name called Abdullah like so. And if I navigate back to my web page and let's refresh, let's go to the home route, let's refresh, and you can see that we are still in the home directory. We haven't seen the logo and the text. So the issue here is that we haven't import the sidebar component. So let's navigate back to the index.js. Let's open it, and in here Okay, we have to navigate to the app.js. I'm sorry, so you can close it out. Go back to the app.jsx like so, and then open it up. And in here, you can see that we have already imported some few things from the pages. Now we want to do the same for the components. So all we have to import now is the sidebar. Sidebar from the components, and then the sidebar, and then the sidebar. But since we want the sidebar to be static in all other pages that we navigate to, we are not going to have another route for the sidebar. So we are going to place it in between the browser router and then the route. Okay. What we have to do now is to render the sidebar component like so. And we should see a big icon and a text on our page. And here, that is it. Okay. You have the name and then the icon. Okay. So now what we have to do now is to navigate back to our sidebar.jsx, and what we have to do now is to add all the links that we supposed to add in order to display the sidebar. Okay, so the first thing that we have to do now is to create a UL tag. So immediately after the link, let's create a UL with a class name. It's going to have a class name of side link like so. And in here we want to render a few things, but we haven't import what we want to display here. So all we have to do now is to navigate back to the top, and now we can import the sidebar menu and the social icons from data. So we need to go 2 levels back up and then another one like so, and then import data from data. All right, so for me to show that to you in action, let me open the data folder and then go to the data.js file. So in here we have sidebar menu, arrays of objects that I told you earlier. So we are going to iterate over all these and display them in our sidebar. So this is the text, which is the home. We have another one, which is the about. It has an icon in front of it, and it also has a URL, which is the about. The part of this, the URL of this must match what we have in our app.jsx. Okay, so if I navigate back to the app.jsx, you will see that we have the home part, we have the about part, we have the contact, and the same thing must be right here. So when we click on this link, it will direct us here. When we click on the project, it will direct us here. Okay, so what we have to do now is to iterate over the sidebar and then display everything. The same with the social icon as well. We have the icon and then we have the URL. Okay, so basically for me to show you that this is what we are creating. When we click the about, it's going to navigate us to the about page, and this is the text, this is the icon, and then the URL is the path. All right, so now let me navigate back to the sidebar.jsx, and we have already made the import. Now what I have to do now is to navigate down here and select the sidebar menu, and now I want to iterate over it using the map method and go with my 2 parentheses, and in here I will pass in the link and then the index. Okay, so I'm going to destructure what we are getting back from the object. So we have the text, we have the URL, and then we have the icon. So in our return statement, let me go with my parentheses. In here I'll pass in the li tag, and it is also going to have a key called the index in order to avoid a React issue. And inside the li tag, you want to pass in the nav link component, and it is going to navigate us to the specific URL like so. And in here I want to pass in the icon, and then
Right after that, I also want to pass in the text. Okay, the text like so. And nav link basically will enable us to navigate to that special page, and it also has a useful prop that we can use, and it is called the isActive method. So for example, if I show you, you can see that the link that is active is the about link. So others you can just over it, and then you will get the same color of the active link. Okay, so when I click on the project, you will see that the active link now is the project. So there is a prop on nav link that we can use called the isActive method. And for us to add that property, we need to go with the class name. And our class name, we go back to the JavaScript line, and in here I want to pass in 2 parentheses. It's a function. The prop is a function, and from that function we can get access to the isActive method. And in here, all I want to do now is to return isActive. I want to return isActive. So if isActive is true, if the isActive is true, we want to render some specific styles for the links. And as is not active, we want to add another style. So the first styles that we want to add is the nav link. Okay, I have some custom property of this class that I've already added in our SCSS, which I will show you in a second. We have the nav links like so, and I will immediately add another class called the active links. And else, I only want to add the nav links, so I'll go with nav __ links like so. So that is all we have to do. And for us to see that in action, we will navigate to the sidebar.scss, but I think we should finish up with the display of this icon before we actually do that. So what we have to do now, after the UL, let's go with another div with a class name of social-icon like so. And in here I want to go with my social icons, and then want to also map through it, go with my 2 parentheses. I'll name it icons, and then the pass index as the second parameter. I also destructure it right away, and we are looking for the icon and then the URL from the icons. And inside our return statement, I want to render a anchor tag that has the href value of the URL, and is going to have a key which we point to the index, and now we can close it out. So inside the anchor tag we can pass in the icon. Okay, so now we are good to go. So for us to add all the custom styles, let's navigate back to my GitHub profile. And when you get to my GitHub profile, go to the final code, and let me quickly connect to the internet. So let's navigate back to my GitHub profile. And when you get to my GitHub profile, you can navigate to the final code. So when you navigate to the final code, go to the SRC folder, and inside the SRC folder, go to the components folder, and you will see the sidebar folder. So you can click on the sidebar.scss and copy all the pre-made stylings that I have already created for you guys. So click on it and copy it, or you can also highlight everything and copy it. Then let's navigate back to the text editor, go to the SCSS file and paste everything you just copied. Okay, and I should also go through all all the custom styles, but as we go along the project, I will be explaining the usefulness of the classes that I've added. Okay, so for now I added the aside, which will add the width to the sidebar, and then the height is 100%. The position is fixed. We have a background color in the root that we declared in the app.scss. So if I open it up, you can see the sidebar.scss right here that has this color, and we have top left and then the Z index. And I believe that if you can go through all these classes, they are very, very easy to locate, because I added some comments for you to understand. So basically, these are the classes that I have already added. If you look at the logo section as well, it will place the display property will be flex. The flex direction is column, the align items center, justify content center, and so on. And the sidebar logo as well adds a width, height, and then the fill color to the SVG, and then the aside wrapper as well as this default custom style that I added with min height overflow Y, which is very, very easy to understand. And if you don't see the menu icon and the close button yet on this video, don't worry, as we go along the video, we will add more features to the sidebar, and you are going to see the usefulness of these classes. Okay, so with that being said, let me navigate back to the sidebar.scss, go to the top, let's import scss file from the sidebar folder, and now we can navigate back to the web page, like so, and refresh. So now we should see our lovely sidebar right here being created. Okay, so basically this is a sidebar, but because we haven't import the app.scss in the root folder, in the root file, we didn't get our styles as we want. So let's navigate back to our text editor, and let's go to the app.jsx, and in here we should have our import. We should import the app.scss in the app, like so. So let's go with app.scss, and after importing the app.scss, we should see the expected outcome on our web page. Okay, so now we have the background color, we have this amazing color of the sidebar, and then we have this custom color that we added on the links, and then the text, and we can see the active links. Currently it has this color, and then as we go along the project, we are going to add more features whereby we can change the color of the text and all that. So what I want to do now is to properly align the SVG and then the text in order to have a nice and good looking logo section like this one. So what we have to do now is to navigate back to the app.scss and locate the logo section, or you can press Ctrl F and find the logo section, and here it is. And in here I want to add line height of 4M in order to have some space between the logo and then the SVG. Okay, so you can see now, refresh, and now we have this amazing logo and then the text, the name right here. So now with that being said, I think we've come to a section where we can start creating the header and displaying this this text, and then the logo, and then creating the button as well. And yeah, let's navigate back to our text editor and close everything. Let's close everything like so. So now let's navigate to the src folder and go to the component folder, and inside the component folder you will see the header folder,
And in here you see two files. Just open the header.jsx and then the scss. And inside the gsx file, I will run my command refce to create a React functional component, and then I will right away import a link from React router DOM like so. After that, I will also import the scss file immediately because sometimes I forget. And inside the return statement, I will render the section tag and go with the class name of section-1. It is going to have another class name called the header __ container, and another class name called section __ padding like so. So inside the section, I will go with another main tag, and it's also going to have a class name called the intro page like so. I'm very sorry, but I'm terrible giving class names to my HTML elements, so I hope you forgive me for that. And in here, I just want to go with my h1 tag, and I will write some text like hi, go with my break tag like so, and right under it, I'll go with this text, hi, I am Abdullah, and go with comma, and then go with another br tag like so, and then render web developer. Okay, so basically what we are trying to do now is to render everything that we have right on the home page like so. You're going to render the text, and then basically you're going to render the text, and you realize that the A that represents the name, it is an image, or let me say SVG. So in our case, we are going to replace that with the same SVG that we are seeing right here. So instead of writing the A, we are going to get rid of this. And now we have to navigate back to the asset folder, and then go to the SVG. Let's click on it. So let's copy the SVG, which is the logo image. Copy everything and close out the file. And beside the letter B that you're seeing right here, we are going to place the logo that we just copied. Okay, so now let me format it very well. And if you get this curly bracket and then the empty string, you can get rid of this. You don't need it. Yeah, so now we have the SVG, we have the name, and then we have the web developer. So for us to see what we are doing in action, the first thing that I want to do now is to navigate to the pages folder, and inside the pages folder, navigate to the home folder, because we are going to render all the components inside the home page. As you can see, we have different components in our home page. Okay, so we have the apart component, we have the project component, and the blog component, and we also have every other component inside the home component. Okay, so we can see everything in one single page. So all we have to do now is to import the header into the home component like so. Let me open the home and import like I said, import header from the component header, and then the header, and the return will be, let's go with a React fragment, and in here I'll just pass in a component called the header like so. And now basically we are good to go. And then the other thing that we have to do now is to have the styles that are already made for the header. So let's navigate to my GitHub profile again and go to the final code. Okay, if you go to the final code, then go to the SRC. So when you reach the SRC, go to components and then the header, and click on the header.scss. So in here you will see all the custom styles that are already created. Let's copy everything like so. Click on the copied, or you can highlight everything and press Ctrl C in order to copy it. Navigate back to the header.scss in our VS Code and paste everything and just copy. Okay, so basically you've realized that I have added some class name called section-1, which adds the mean height of 120 viewport height to the section tag, set the display to flex, align items to center, the font family sans serif, and then the position is relative. The same thing with the intro page, which is the H1. I set the font size, the line height, I set the letter spacing, font weight, added the color, the custom color that we have on every single page for now, and then the font family also too is Helvetica, and then the font family is Helvetica New, and the same thing with the home logo. Okay, so now if I view this page in action, we should see something like so, which is what I was expecting. Okay, so now we need to add some more elements so that the web page will look like this pretty much, and then we also add the over effects and then the animation on this logo. Okay, so now with that being said, let's navigate back to our web page and add other things that we need. So under the main, so right after the H1 tag, I'll go with a P tag. P tag like so. It's going to have a class name of text description like so, and inside the P tag I'll place a web developer like so, web developer, and then UI/UX designer. Okay, and make sure that everything is written properly. Designer like so. So right after the P, I will go with my link, the one we import from the React router DOM, and now I'll go with the link, and let me make sure that I write it properly. Let me go with the link, and it's going to, the link is going to direct us to the contact page. So let me add the contact like so, and if I navigate back to the finished page, you will see whenever I click on this button, so this is what we want to create right now. So whenever I click on this button, it is going to navigate me to the contact page. Okay, so we are going to use the link to achieve that. And inside the link, what I want to do is to go with a div like so, and it's going to, inside the div, we're going to have a span of it's going to be an empty span, and I will add some class name like so. The first one is going to be bg, and the second class name is going to be switch underscore bg. Okay, so the second span is also going to be empty, and it's going to have the class name as well, or the base, and then switch underscore border dash color. Okay, and make sure that you notice these class names that we are given some elements, because we are going to use it later on. All right, so make sure that you notice it. They are the class names that we are going to add to many elements in order to enable us to switch the color of those items from one color to another. Okay, so we are going to have another span like so, and it's also going to have a class name called the text, and in here we just place the contact me in here. Okay, so now what I also want to do is to add our class name. Don't let us forget that. Let's add a class name called the contact dash button like so, and if I navigate to our web page, and yeah, of course you realize that we have our nice over effect on the button. So what I want to do is to navigate to the header.scss for me to show you the classes and then the styles that we added in order for us to know how we achieve the button and then the over effect. So if you navigate back to the header.scss and scroll down to where we have the contact button, we realize that the link has a class name called contact button. We set the display to block, the width is 100%, the height is 50 pixels, and then we set the max width to 200 pixels. So of course the max width will always be 200 pixels, and then we'll take the full width of that max width. Okay, the line height is 50, the position relative, the margin is 50 pixels, and then the animation is fading animation 1 second, 1.8 seconds, and then backward. So this animation that you're seeing is we are able to achieve that with the help of animate.css. So when we install the animate.scss into our package.json, if the animate.css is available in our dependencies, then all we have to do to make use of it in our CSS or SCSS file is to import the animate.css. And then when we import it, we are going to be able to use it in our file. Okay, so if you navigate to the app.scss, if you navigate to app.scss, you will realize that I import animate.css at the top. All you have to do is to say import animate.css, and you will be able to use all the custom animation that is available on the animate.css property. So for me to show you in action, let's navigate to animate.css. We go to their official website, and when we reach their official website, you realize that we have different animation that is available for us. So if you click on Shake X, you'll be able to use Shake X. If you go to the fade animation that I showed you earlier, which is fade animation, the animation is going to fade from the specified direction. Okay, from the specified direction. So if I navigate back to the header.scss, you will realize that I have the animation fade in animation, and then set the duration, and then I set the animation property. Okay, so basically that is how we can use animate.css on our SCSS file. All right, so the next thing that I want to do now is to add over effect on the text. So how are we going to do that? We want to add over effects to the text. We want to add the animation to that, and for us to achieve that, we are going to create a separate component, and then we do the logic, and then we try to implement what we have right here in order to achieve the same result. And yeah, so with that being said, let's pretty much close everything. Let's close everything. So now let's navigate to the SRC folder again, and inside the SRC, go to the component. Inside the component, you will see a blast animation folder. Click on it and open the blast.jsx and then the SCSS file immediately. So inside the blast.jsx, I will write my command refce to create a React functional component. And since you are going to make use of this component inside the header.jsx, I will open my header.jsx file as well, and I will right away import the blast component that we just created. Okay, so go with blast, and it's coming from the blast animation folder and then the file. Okay, so basically what we want to do with this component is the functionality that we added right here. As you can see, I am able to add over effect. I'm able to over on the single character on this text and add this animation. So basically that is what we are going to do with that component. So with that being said, let's navigate back to the blast or to the header.jsx, and in here the first thing that I really want to do now is to create two variables. Okay, so the one is going to be name array,
which is going to represent my name, and it's going to be arrays of character. Okay, so the first one is going to be character B, that is my name, and then another one is D, like so, and until I spell all my name. Of course, you can do that with your name as well, but in my own case, I'm going to write my name like so, and then the I. The first character in my name is missing. Well, technically it's not missing. It is the logo that we are going to add is right here. Okay, so I can place the image inside the array. I only want to have the array of strings, so I'll be able to iterate over it and add some other functionality. So the second array that I'm going to create is called the job array, like so, which is going to hold the string characters of like so, of web developer, like so. So I have to write everything out, and in between the web developer we have a space, so let's add it as well, and make sure that you add some space between it. And now we have the letter D, and then another E, and then another V, then we have E, then we have L, then we have O, then we have E, and then R, like so. So basically this is what we are going to have. Instead of hard coding the two values, which is the name and then the web developer right here, we are going to iterate over this these arrays and dynamically add the text and then the web developer. So that way we will be able to add the over effect on each single character in order to achieve the same thing like the original website original portfolio that we have. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of this one, of this name, and I will represent it with the blast animation that we just created, like so. And I'll do the same thing for the web developer, like so. And I'll pass blast, and the blast animation will have 3 props. Okay, so the first prop is going to be a class name. The second prop is going to be the arrays that we created up there, and then the third prop is going to be the index letter. So let me show you to you in action. The first one is going to be a letter class. The second one is going to be array of string, and the third one is going to be index letter, like so. Okay, so like I told you, the first one is going to be a class name. So for us to get our class name, we are going to create a use state hook. So let's go with use state, like so, and let's add a comma in front of React, and inside our component we are going to declare our use state hook. But the first thing that I want to declare is the letter class, and the function will be set letter class, like so. And let's declare the use state hook, and inside the parentheses I want to give a class name to our item that we're going to create in a second. So I'll call it text animate. Okay, so now let's go back down to the blast, and inside the letter class, let's pass in the letter class in our state. The array string for the first one is going to be the name array that we created up there, and then the second index letter, the third prop is going to be the index letter of 32. So we are going to do the same thing for the web developer text that we deleted. So the letter class is also going to have the class that we declared up there, which is going to be the text animate. So when we add all the functionalities, the text will be animated, and then we still add some kind of over effect for us to display all the links. So the array string of this one is going to be the job array, like so, and then the index letter, let's set it to 22. So the first one should be 15, and then the second one should be 22, like so. So the next thing you have to do is to head back to the blast.gsx, and instead, okay, before we actually do anything, let's destructure what we are getting back from the component. The first one is the letter class. The second one is a letter class, and let's make sure I write it properly. The second one is the array string, and then the third one is the index letter. Okay, so what we are returning now, let's go with the parentheses, and then we are returning a span, and inside the span we'll iterate over the array string, which is the variables that we created in the header.gsx, and we want to map through it. So the first item that I want to get is the character, and then the second one is the index. So what we are returning is the span. We're going to return a span, like so. And what the span is going to return is a single character. So when we return a single character, we'll be able to hover over that single character and add some kind of animation to it. So the next thing that we have to, we need to return this. So the next thing that we have to add is the class name. So let's go with the class name, and we'll go with my curly bracket and then the backtick, and in here I want to display the letter class that we are getting back as a prop, and we also want to add the key, which is the index plus letter plus the index plus index letter, like so. Sorry, the key should be index plus character in order to make it unique. And apart from the class name that we are adding to this, we want to add another class name, and then let's go with underscore, and then we go with our $sign. And in here, all we want to do now is to specify the index of that character, index plus the index letter, in order to make it unique. So like so. So basically, this is all what we are gonna have for the blast component. But since the elements that we have right here are not many, I will write all the SCSS from scratch. So let's navigate back to the blast.scss, and then the first thing that I really want to target is the text animate that we declared in our header.scss right here, which we passed to the blast animation prop, and we are getting back the same thing from this class. So we are going to target that by saying text animate, and in here I want to set the display to block to inline block, display to inline block, and then we're going to set the opacity to 0. So by default the opacity will be 0, and the animation will be bounce in, bounce in, and it's also going to be 1 second in duration, like so. And let me make sure that I have my colon. And what we have to add now is the animation fill mode, which is going to be forward, and the main width of all the text will be 10 pixels. So when the text are bouncing in, I don't want them to be jumping around, so I will set a custom width for the item to be 10 pixels. Okay, so right after that, we are going to create another class called text animate, and then I'll add the over. So for now we don't have the class name, but I'll create it in a second, and I'll also add some kind of mean width to the class name of 10 pixels, like so. I also have a display to inline block, and animation fill mode, like so with the bot. Okay, so when we over the class name that we are going to add, I'll go with my ampersand and then colon. So when I over it, I want to add the animation, this animation called the rubber band, which will help us to achieve the result of this item that we are seeing right there. Okay, so we have rubber band, and then the duration is going to be 1 second. And I also want to add the color, which is we'll go with variable, and then I'll specify the variable called that I declared in my app.css, which is over the color. And I also want to set the transition to all 250 milliseconds, and then in and out. Okay, like so. So let's navigate back to blast.gsx, and up here let's import our blast.scss from the file. Okay, import blast.scss, like so. And yeah, basically if we go to our web page and refresh, you'll realize that we have this nice animation, but we haven't still gotten the result that we want for this. So what we have to do now is to navigate back to our SCSS file, and in here we want to iterate over all the characters and display them after some seconds of intervals. Okay, so there is a cool feature in Scss that I want to use to iterate over the text, which is the for at 4, like so. And we want to set a custom variable of I from 1 through 35. Okay, so from 1 through 35, this is how we can loop through anything in Scss. Okay, so now we want to loop through all the text, and then we say, you know what, the text animate should have some kind of delay, like so. And I will go with my hashtag to target the variable I that we declared up here, like so. And now I want to say, you know what, add some kind of animation delay to all the text after some seconds of interval. So what I want to do now is to target the variable I and then divide it by 10 seconds. Okay, and all I have to do is to divide it by 10 seconds, and at the end I'll place my S right there. And if I navigate back to my web page again, and everything reloads right now, and you can see that we have nicely displayed some of the elements one after the other. So we have to do the same thing for I and the other characters as well. So all I have to do is to navigate back to my header.scss. So instead of hard coding the text and then all this, all I have to do now is to do it manually. So instead of creating a variable for it, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do it manually. So the first thing that I really want to do now is to basically return a span. So I will go with a span. Okay, right after the main, I'll go with a span, and it's going to have a class name of the same class that we declared up here. So it's going to have the letter class, like so, and the first value is going to be h. Okay, so we're going to do that the same thing for the I as well. We're going to change it I, like so, and we can get rid of this, the first one. We can get rid of this, and we still add another one for the comma in order to be in a separate span. And we are going to do the same thing for this one as well. So let me just copy it in order to spin it up. Let me copy it and instead of hard coding it, all I have to do now is to write I, like so. I'll duplicate it again, and I'll change this to the code that we have right there. So let me just write it here. And the third one is the letter M. So just change it and place the letter M in here. So I can get rid of this, and I can add some kind of space between the letter and then the SVG. All right. So basically that's what we have to do. And don't forget, we also have to add the letter index, or the index letter that we added in the component right here. You also have to add it in order for us to get the best result. So I'm going to use the multiple cursor to select everything, like so. Or I have to go with my backtick. So let me add the backtick and then my $sign, and I'll do the same thing right there, like so. And inside the class name, oh, something is wrong. Okay, you know what? Let me go with my backtick, like so. And right after that, I'll go with my $sign and then curly braces, and do the same thing right there. Go with my curly braces, and then I'll go for another backtick, like so. Okay. And inside the class name, you're going to add an underscore, and the first one is going to contain 12. It's going to be 12. The third one, or the second one, is going to be 13. And then we have 14, 15, 16, and then 17, like so. So if I navigate back to my web page, we should probably see the same result. And let me refresh. So now as you can see, we have this nice animation that just occurred on the web page. So when we hover over each single character, we want to be able to add the hover effect on it. And I want to add some space between these two letters. So let's navigate back to my web page, and all I have to do maybe is to add some kind of space between them. I don't know. Let me see. It's not displaying. Okay, we'll come back to that in a second. But in order for me to add the hover effect, let me import use effect from React as well. Let's import use effect, like so. And right after that, we come inside of the component, and then we're gonna say we're gonna declare our use effect, like so. Go with our parentheses, and in here I want to set some kind of timeout. I want to set timeout that you're gonna see what I'm gonna do in a second. So after 4 seconds, I want to change the class name that we have right there. So what I want to do is to pass in the second parameter, which is the amount of seconds that I want to change the class name, and then I'll say set class, and it's going to be text animate over, like so. And if you imagine the text animate over, we have already created it in our blast.scss, and it has some kind of over effect. And if we navigate back to our header.jsx, after 4 seconds, the text, the letter class, which is text animate, is going to be changed to text animate over. Okay, so if I navigate back to my web page and I try to over it, or let me refresh. If I try to over it, I'm not getting anything, but I think we have to set some kind of color for us to get the value that we are expecting. So instead of this color, okay, the issue is right here. So instead of color, I wrote animation. So If you have the same mistake, just go back and write color, and let's navigate back to my web page. And as you can see now, we have this nice and amazing over effect on the text. So I'll properly align these items, and after that we'll start creating the SVG animation with gsap, and then we add the theme templates in order to change the color, and yeah, we'll go up from there. Okay, let's navigate to header.jsx, and we want to add some kind of space between the SVG and then this item, because currently, as you can see, they are both in the same place. So what we have to do now is to go with this curly bracket and then pass in the empty string like so, and yeah, it should work like that. Make sure that you add some space, and if you navigate back to the web page, and you see that yeah, we have successfully added the space between them. And you want to add this animation on the SVG as well. So I have already prepared everything for you guys. I have already prepared for you guys some class names that we are going to add. Okay, so if you look at this, the first part that we have on the SVG, we are going to add some class names. Okay, so the first one is the lower dash logo, and we also have the home dash logo, and we have another class called animate dash logo and one. Okay, like so. Okay, so this is the class name that we are going to add to the first part, and then the second one is going to have a class name. Let me go with a class name of animate and then logo dash 2. So if we navigate to header.scss, you will realize that we have some styles that we've added to the classes. The first one is the animate logo 1, and it has some transition 0.3 seconds linear, and the second one is animation name logo, the duration is 2 seconds. I added the cubic base here, and then the animation and duration count. The same thing with the second one as well. So in here, I go with my add keyframe rules, and at 0%, the logo will transform to translate Y minus 20 pixel, and it will also transform and translate Y 40 pixel when it reaches the 50% declaration rate. Okay, so if I navigate back to my web page, realize that yeah, we have that nice animation on the web page. So this is pretty simple to achieve, and I hope that you are able to get the logic. So what we have to do now is to start okay, before we start adding the gsap animation and all the functionality for us to get this good looking animation, I am going to create this amazing template in order for us to be able to switch our color to different mode. And after that, we will add the functionality of changing the light mode from dark mode, and then after that we're going to do the gsap animation. Okay, so I hope you got what I'm saying. And yeah, with that being said, I'm going to close everything now and navigate to the component that we are going to create the theme template. So let's navigate to the src folder, and inside the src, go to the component, scroll all the way to the bottom, and in here you should see a folder called a theming template. In there you should see two files. We have the scss and then we have the jsx file. So inside the jsx file, I'll run my command rafce to create a React functional component. So in here I will import the scss file right away before I forget. And on top here, I will import few icons from React. So I already copied it out. I'm just going to press Ctrl V to paste it right there. And the first icon is the icon that we are seeing right there. Okay, so the second, third, and the fourth icon is the light mode icon, the dark mode icon, and then the closing icon that we are seeing right there. Okay, so I will go with my parentheses and go with my React fragment. So in here, let me just place a comment. It just say that this is the fee settings wrapper, like so. And right after the comment, I'm going to go with a div with a class name of theme icon, theme dash icon dash wrapper, wrapper. And inside the div, I'm going to go with the icon, like so. I'll close it out. The icon has a class name called the theme icon, and another class name called a switch underscore color. So right after the div, I'm going to go with another comment called a theme wrapper, and the theme wrapper is another div that is going to have a class name of theme wrapper, like so. And inside the div, you are going to have another div which is the theme header, but let me go with my comment called the theme header. And right after the comment, I'll go with the div, like so, that has a class name of theme header. And inside the theme header, we have a span that has a text of theme template. And right after the span, I'll go with another span, and the span, inside the span, I'll go with the second icon called the BSXLG. It also has a class name of close template. So this is basically the icon that will close the theme template wrapper. And I'll go with another class name called a switch underscore color. Okay, like so. And right after the theme header, I'm going to go with another div. But before that, let me add a comment called the mode. And basically, this is a wrapper, the div that contains the light mode and the dark mode icon. Okay, so let me go with the div. It has a class name of mode, and inside the div, we have another div, and this one has inside the div, this one contains the BS field son, and this icon has a class name of icon, and then another one with switch underscore color, like so. So all I want to do now is to have the same thing for the second icon. Also, I'll just go with my shift alt and then the down arrow key, like so. So all I have to do now is to change the icon. So this one will be the PS and then moon stars. Okay, so right after the div that has the class name of mode, I'm going to go with another div, but this one I'll add my comment called the template wrapper. And basically this is the div that wraps all the different color mode that we are going to add on the text. And let me have my div, and it's going to have the class name of template dash wrapper. And inside the div, I'm going to go with another comment, and this one is going to be template wrapper 1, because we have different div, template 1 wrapper. And like I said, let's go with the div, and it's going to have a class name of template. Okay, it's going to have a class name of template, and inside the div, so in here, let's add another empty div. Okay, let's add another empty div, and this one is going to have a class name of template dash 1. So basically, this is the parent div. Okay, so it wraps another div called theme template 1 inside the parent div. So that is what I said. This one particularly is the template wrapper, and it is the wrapper of the first template that we are having. So all I want to do now is to duplicate this 7 more times, because if I should count, we have 7 color mode, template mode that we have right there. So we're going to have the template and then the number of templates that we are going to have. So like I said, I'll press Ctrl Okay, I'll press Shift Alt and then the down arrow key to have this thing 7 times. So we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So all I have to do now is to change the number. The second one is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we have the final one, which is 7. Okay, so for us to see what we have been doing in action, we need to get the SCSS. So as usual, let's navigate to the final project, go to the final code, navigate to the SRC folder, and then to the component folder. And in here, you should see the theme template. Okay, click on the theme template.scss and click on copy. When you get the copy of these styles, go to the file and paste what you have right there. And for me to show you what we have right there, so we have the theme icon wrapper, the settings, we added the position fixed, the right 40, bottom 30 pixel, and this is what you are seeing right there. Okay, so this is what you're seeing right here. And I added some kind of animation and all the code is here. Okay, the theme icon, I added animation, and then I go with my add keyframe rules and then the name of the animation, like so. The same thing with the theme wrapper. Okay, you have the theme wrapper. If you go to the app, you have the theme wrapper. I added some kind of stylings to it, and I believe that if you go through all the CSS file, it is just like CSS as well, and they are pretty very easy to understand. And yeah, this is all we have right there. Okay, so in order not to waste too much of our time, if you see the mode, we have all the div inside the mode, and I added different colors to all the templates that we have. I added the background of this kind of I don't know, this color to the template 1. We have the template 2 like a green, the template 3 like pink, and to the 7th template. Okay, so if we navigate back to the web page and we realize that we don't see anything, okay, even if I refresh, there is nothing, because we have to import the theme template in our app.jsx. So let's navigate to the app.jsx, and right after the sidebar, we need to import the theme template, like so, from the component, and then the folder, and then the file. So right after that, below the sidebar component, let's pass the theme template like so, and wrap it up. And if you notice, we are importing the same thing from the components, and we import the sidebar from the component, and then the theme template from the component as well. So we are going to do it the same way we did the first one. Okay, so that is why you see another index file inside the component folder. So let's open the index file, and it's empty. Let's go with our export, and then we'll go with default, as the first one is the sidebar, and it's coming from the sidebar folder, and then the file. So the same thing with export. You have default as you have the theme template, and it's also coming from the theme templates folder, and then we have the file. So let's navigate back to the app.jsx, and in here all we have to do now is to write our import. Let's go with our curly bracket. We have the sidebar, and we also have the theme templates. Okay, and they are both coming from the same component. So all we have to do is to specify the component. Let's comment this out, or you can get rid of this for your reference. So if we navigate back to the web page, we should see this icon. Okay, let me refresh, and we should get the result that we're expecting. Okay, we have this icon with this animation, and we should also see the sidebar, but we are not seeing anything. You know why? Okay, we have to navigate back to the SCSS file, and if you go to the theme template wrapper, you will realize that we added some kind of transform and translate X property of 110%. And if I comment it out for now, you should see the result. Okay, so right there you should see the result. Okay, so when we click on it, we are going to change the transform property. It's gonna hide it, and when we click on it again, when we open this, we are going to open the template. All right, so with that being said, all we have to do now is to start adding the functionality to the template in order to add the on-click event. And then when we are done with all that, we start adding the gsap animation. So all we have to do now is to close everything out. So let's navigate to the src folder, and inside the src folder, you should see the hooks folder. Like I told you, we have 3 files in here. Click on the context API, and basically inside this context API, we have only the basic setup. Okay, so now we are going to create a bunch of functions and use state hooks in order to add functionalities to the theme template, and to add the light mode and the dark mode, and to add open and close functionality to some elements. So the first thing that I really want to do now is to create some states. The first one is going to be the color theme, which will be in charge of the light mode and dark mode. And I'll go with set color theme like so. And by default, the color theme is going to be dark theme. Okay, it's going to be dark, and I'll go with mode. And the second one is going to be in charge of opening the template and closing the template as well. So I'll go with is template open. Is template open, and this function will be set is template open like so. And by default, it's going to be false. And I'll go with my third function, state, and this one is going to be in charge of changing the color mode. So I'll go with change temp, and I'll set the function to set change temp like so. And by default, the template is going to be template 1. Okay, so what I have to do now is to create the function of the color theme. And the first thing that I'll go is go with const, and I'll call this function undo theme like so. And in here, it's going to have a parameter called theme. I'll go with my arrow function. And what I want to do now is to set the color theme. Set the color theme to whatever theme we are passing into this function. Okay, so what I want to do now is to set this to the local storage. So I'll go with set item, local storage or set item. I'll go with my parentheses, and in here I want to give it a name called theme, and I will pass in the theme, which is the color that is going to be passed in here. And for us to get this item back to the local storage, I'll go with the use effect, and like so. All I want to do now is to create a const called current theme like so, and it's going to be equals to the local storage. I want to get any item that the name is set to theme. Okay, so when we do that, when the page renders, we want to set the color theme back to the current theme. Like whenever the user refreshes the page, the color that is specified will always be the same color when it refreshes the web page. Okay, and don't let us forget our array of dependencies like so. And yeah, we are good to go. And we want to do that for the same thing as change temp. So for example, when I switch the color and then I refresh the web page, I want to see the same color that I set on the web page. So the same thing with the dark mode that we just created right now. So we want to do the same thing for this template as well. So let me go with another function called undo temp, and it is also going to have a parameter called theme like so. I'll go with my arrow function, and I want to set change temp to theme. Okay, We want to save it to the local storage as well. So let's go with local storage dot set item. We want to give it a name called team. And the second parameter is the value that we want to store to the local storage. So let's go with team. And for us to get the results from our web page when the page renders, let's go with use effect like so. And in here we want to create a const called current theme, which is going to be local storage dot get item, and then we pass in the name of the theme. And for us not to misspell or not to mislead ourselves, let's actually change the name of this to temp like so that it will be different from the name that we are getting back here. And let's change the name of this to temp like so. And now the name of the value that I want to store to the local storage are the same for the temp and then the light mode and dark mode. Okay, so the next thing that we have to do now is to set that color theme. Let's set change temp back to the current theme when the page renders. Okay, so basically that is what we have to do. And let us not forget the array of dependency like so. And basically we can just add a comment says light mode and dark mode functionality like so. And we can do the same thing for this as well. So let's add a switch mode template functionality like so. And yeah, so now that we have all the values in place, okay, we also have to go with another value, which is to change the state of this template open. So let's go with another function right after the switch mode template functionality, and let's go with another const, and this one will be this one is going to be open template. Okay, so the function is going to be open template. I'll go with my arrow function and I will set this template open back to true, and I'll create the same thing for the close template as well. Close template like so. So anytime we click on this function, so it's either we open the template or we close the template. So now for me to close it, I will set the close template back to false. So instead of rendering the value hello that we have right there, we are going to set the value of this to all the functions that we just declared right there, in order for us to use it in another component. So this way we can avoid what we call prop drilling. Okay, so instead of passing a component then to another component, instead of passing a prop rather to a component and then to another component, we can do it like this and passing all the value that we want to pass into another component inside this value. Okay, so that way we'll be able to make sure that our app is very consistent in effective way. So now I'll go with my curly bracket and then I'll go with my object, and inside the object I want to pass in the functions that are declared up there, which is open template and close template like so. I also have undo temp and I have undo theme as well, undo theme. And I also want to pass in some states that I created up there, like set this template open. I want to add color theme, this template open, and change temp as well. Okay, so let me add it color theme like so. We have change temp, and then we have let me say the third one, which is template open. Okay, so let me add this template open like so. And since all the functions and the states is being declared, now I want to render the children inside the div. And basically the div is going to wrap all the elements on the web page together. So any functionality that we add in the div right now will affect all the elements on the web page. So for me to show that to you in action, let me go with my div, and in here is going to have a class name called the wrapper. So I'll go with my backtick and I'll pass in my wrapper right there. So I want to go with a short circuit operator, so I'll go with my curly bracket, and I want to say if the color theme, which is the light mode or dark mode that we are going to add right there, if the color theme is equals to dark mode like so, we want to add a specific class to it, and if that is not the case, we want to add another specific class to it. So the first one is going to be the light mode, and then if that is not the case, we're going to set it back to the class mode. And inside the div, all I want to do now is to render the web page. Okay, so for me to reiterate on what I just said, and we have a class name called wrapper. If I open up my app.scss, you will see the wrapper that I have right there. So basically this wrapper holds the class name of light mode, and since the default mode is the dark that we specified in our use state hook like so, then we are going to check if the color theme is equals to this class name or this class name. If it is the dark mode, the web page is going to be on dark mode appearance, and if it is on light mode, and the web page will be on the light mode appearance. Okay, so in our theme templates .gsx, we are going to do some on-click events in order to switch between the light mode and the dark mode for us to add different classes to the value that we have right there. Okay, so when the value is light mode, the wrapper class is going to be wrapper.lightMode, and if that is not the case, we are going to have our default mode, which is the black mode that we have inside the root file right there. Okay, so the next thing that we have to do now is to add some kind of ID for us to override the template mode. If I navigate to the completed project, you will see that this one, the color that's been added to this element is under a class. So for us to override that, we are going to use ID. If you understand the rule of specificity of, I can't pronounce anything. So if you understand that rule of specificity in CSS, you will understand that we can override an element with an ID or some kind of other things. So the next thing that we have to do now is to go with my ID, and in here all I want to do now is to go with the curly bracket and the backtick like so, and I want to pass the change temp like so. And basically change temp, like I said, it is a value that we have right there. So this one basically doesn't represent the class, it's going to represent an ID which we are going to pass very soon. And the next thing that I want to do now is to navigate to the theme template.jsx. So let's go to the theme template.jsx. Let's open it out. And in here, what I want to do now is to import the use global states from the context API. So I'll say use global context from the API. And if I console.log the use global context, and then I will invoke it. If I console.log this item right there, you should see some pretty cool value from the web page. So all I'm gonna do now is to refresh, and I will open the inspect mode, and then navigate to my console like so. And in here you should see some kind of object. And if I open it out, you will see, okay, you will see the change temp, the close template, the color template, the add theme, and basically all these items that you are seeing right there are coming from the context API. Okay, so the way you are seeing them right there, that is how you are seeing them in our theme templates right there. So the next thing that we want to do now is to destructure all these items because it's an object. So let me go with const and go with my curly bracket and go with use global context, and I have to invoke it. So the first item that I am looking for inside the use global context is let's go with change temp, like so. Let's go with set change temp. Let's also go with undo temp because we're going to use it. Let's go with this template open, which is to open this template open, and go with set is template open. I'll also go with close template, which is to close the template. And if you guessed it, I'm also going with open template, like so. Open template. Let me format it very well, and now we have our nice item right there. And one more thing that I really want to go for is the color theme, for us to switch between the dark mode and then the light mode. And we also have to go with undo theme, and I think, yeah, I have to pass in the undo theme, like so. The undo theme, not undo temp. And now we have all the items, and the first thing that I want to do now is to add some kind of click event on this icon. So what I'm going to do now is to navigate to the field settings, the div, and in here all I'm going to do now is to add the click event, and I will pass in the open template that we declare up there. Okay, so whenever we click on this item, basically what we are doing is that we are invoking the function that we create right there, which is open template. And when we click on this, the value of set is open template is going to be true. By default, it is false. And when we click on the open template function, the value is going to be true. And when we click on the close template function, the value is going to be false. And when we do that, we want something to happen. Okay, so before we move further, let us add another click event to this click event, which is to close the template, like so. And whenever we click on this item, we want to change the state of the theme wrapper. So currently the theme wrapper is opened, and for us to refactor the code a little bit, let's copy out the theme wrapper, and then I will go with my curly bracket and go with my backtick as well. So what I want to do now is to check. Let me also add the $sign and then the curly bracket. So what I want to do now is to check if this open template is true. So if that is the case, we want to add some kind of class name, and if that is not the case, we want to add another set of class name. Okay, so and let me make sure that I write this thing very well. Is template open. Okay, is template open, like so. Okay, so when the value is true, we want to add the theme wrapper, like so. I just copied it out. So we pass in the theme wrapper, and we want to add another class name called show template. So basically, when the value is open, when is template open is true, we want to add an extra class name called show template, which I'm going to show you in a second. And if that is not the case, then the value is only going to be theme wrapper, like so. Okay, so for me to show that to you in action, let me open the theme template.scss, and if you Control F and find the show template, you will realize that the transform property is 0. Okay, so when I click on the button, it is going to set the transform property to 0, and when I click on the second icon, the value is going to be set to the default value, which is the transform and translate x, y, and 10%. And let me comment it out for us to see the result. And like I said, By default, it is closed. And when I click on it, you can see it is open. When I click on this, it is closed. So basically, that is the function that we have right there. And the next thing that I want to do now is to switch between the light mode and the dark mode. And for us to do that, let's navigate back to the theme template.gsx, and let's scroll all the way to the bottom where we have the mode. So inside this div, we want to add some kind of on-click event for us to change, to switch between the light mode and the dark mode. So let's go with on-click, like so, and I'll go with my parentheses and then go with my arrow function. And in here, I want to pass in the undo theme. And the first the parameter that I'm going to pass is the light mode. Okay, and I'll do that for the same thing as well. I will go with my on-click event, and then I'll go with my parentheses, and then go with undo theme, and I'm going to pass in the dark mode. So basically, all these two icons will hold the light mode and then the dark mode functionality. And when one is true, when one is light mode, the web page will be switched to light mode, and when we click on the other one, the web page will be switched to the dark mode. And for us to see that in action, and remind you that the parameter, the argument that we are passing right there is coming from the context API, from the functions inside the context API. So if you see the undo theme, it has some kind of argument, and then we set that particular argument to the set color theme, which is going to affect the color theme that we have right there based on the value that is going to be beside the wrapper class. Okay, so now if I try to navigate to my web page and click on the light mode, okay, everything is working. And if I try to click on the dark mode, it is also working. So for us to do the same thing for this template, we also have to add some kind of functionality, the on-click event, in order to switch between the different color that is being specified right there. Okay, so let's navigate back to the theme template, and right here, what we have to do now is to add the on-click event on the theme wrapper. Okay, on the theme wrapper. So like I said, the template 1 wrapper, and then we have the template 2 wrapper. And for me to show that to you in action so that you will know which div is which. So we have template 1 wrapper, then we have template 2 wrapper, and then we have the template 3 wrapper, like so, and so on and so forth. So we are going to add the on-click event on the wrapper that wraps the exact template. So what we have to do is to go with my parentheses and go with my undo temp, which is the name of the function. And in here, what I want to pass in here is the template 1. Okay, and I have to do that to other classes as well, to other divs. So let me go to the second one and paste it, and instead of 1, I will change it back to 2. I will do the same thing for the third one as well, which is going to be 3, and I will change the fourth one, which is going to be 4, and then I'll go to the 5/5. I'll do the same thing. Seriously, I'm very tired, but I have to make this tutorial, and I hope you leave a like and a subscribe button. I click on the subscribe button in order to keep me motivated, and I hope you do that. So I'll go with the 7th, and now we have our on-click event on the divs. So we are going to add the on-click event on all these div right there. So currently I'm clicking, but nothing is happening. And for me to show you the usefulness of this undo temp, you can say we are passing different template in here. And if I navigate back to my context API, you will see we added some kind of ID right there, which is called to change temp. And this change temp will be added based on the value that is being passed right here. Okay, so the first one is the template 1, the second one is going to be template 2. If we click on this on this add temp. Okay, so when we click on this add temp, we are going to change the value of the item. So basically the default one is the template one, and yeah, so for us to add those colors when we click on this, so let's navigate to the utils folder. So scroll all the way to the bottom, you should see a folder called utils, and inside the folder there's a file called template color.scss. Just open the file, and in here the first thing that I really want to declare now is just a comment. So let me add a comment called template mode styles, like so. I'll also add another comment called theme template and then color one, and basically let me target my template, which is the first template, like so. And since if I navigate to my context API, I've been showing you several times, I just want you to understand. And if you see right there, I have ID, and this ID represents the parent element of every other element on our web page. So when I select the ID and I place all the elements that I really want to switch their color to, and of course we have the effect on our web page. So for me to show that to you in action, let's say this is the parent element of all elements in my web page, and of course the children will be the h1, the h2, and all other HTML elements that you can think of. We have h3, and then we have the h4. And I also want to add this class name called switch underscore color, because you have been seeing these class names, and this is where I want to use it. I also want to add some other classes like the nav links, nav underscore links, and I really want to add over effect to the links as well. And I also want to go with the class of links icon. You have link dash icon, like so. And I also want to add another class name called the active dash links, and the color that I really want to add is this RGB color, the RGB color of 16, and then 219, and then we have 246. So this color particularly, okay. So I will add this color when I click on the icon that has this type of color on my web page. So if I navigate back to the web page, you can see the color has been switched already. So if I try to click on any other link, you can see that we have different color, but the color that we want is not the one that we are getting. And that is because we haven't added all the functionality and all the colors for other colors. So the first one that we've added is this one right there, okay. So now we have to change the background and then the fill color of this SVG as well. And then we have to target the border of this button. So for us to achieve that, let's navigate back to the file, and right after the color, we want to target the BG as well. So let's go with the switch underscore BG. And if you realize that you also have some kind of class name with that particular class name called switch underscore BG, we also want to add some kind of color to all those classes as well. And I will also go with my field. Now before that, let's target the class name called field dash color, which is the class name that is on the SVG. Okay, so I want to switch the field to the RGBA that we specified. Okay, so if I navigate back to the web page, you can see after the web page is being refreshed, we should see the SVG has been changed. Okay, and then the background of this button. Now let's target the ID. Let's target the border, and when the item is also active, you can see we have this color right there. Okay, so the next thing that we have to do now is to target the border, and the border is so the border is switch underscore border,
dash color. Okay, and the border is going to have a border of 1 pixel solid, and then the value of this RGB that we already have. And if I navigate back to my web page, you will see that the value should be changed as well. The value should be changed as well, and then you can see we have that border color around the button. Okay, so basically I think everything is working as we want. So for us to add another styles and everything, it is going to take a long time. I would have copied everything and pasted it right there, but I just wanted to show you how it works. So that is why I had to do the first one. So for us to get all the item and the one that we are going to do in the upcoming video, I will navigate to my repo, and in here just go to the final code and go to the SRC, and inside the SRC scroll all the way to the bottom. You will see the folder called utils. Click on it, click on the template color.scss, and in here you see all the colors and then the classes that I have added. So what I have to do is to copy everything and navigate to my template.scss, and I'll get rid of the first one that I already have here, and I'm going to add the same thing for all other colors as well. Okay, so if you go through it, you will see that we have the first one, which is template 1. I added all these classes and then all these colors, and the same thing with the background, and same thing with the border, and yeah, I did the same thing for the second one as well. The only thing that changed is the color. Okay, the only thing that changed is the color. After adding the same classes to all other items, I only change the color on every other element. Okay, so if I navigate back to my web page, to the final page, and if I click on the green, you will see that we have this nice color. If I click on the blue, on the pink, we have the same thing. In here we also have the same thing, and then we have the same thing. And as you can see, we didn't get the same value that we have right there. If I go to the final project, you will see that we have some nice border around the items. So for us to achieve the same thing, let's navigate back to the theme template.gsx, and in here we should add some kind of logic for us to add those kind of border around the element. Okay, so what I want to do now is to refactor on these class names that we have for the template for this div. I'm going to go with my multiple cursors like so, and okay, let me select them very well. I'll go with my multiple cursors and I will refactor the class names, and yeah, basically you are going to see the result very soon. So what I want to do now is to get rid of the class name. We are going to add it very soon, and now I'll go with my curly bracket, go with my backtick, and I will specify my class name again called template, and I'll also go with my $sign and then the curly bracket, and in here I want to say if the change temp, and basically this is just the short circuit operator, and I want to say if change temp is equals to the same ID that we are going to pass. So for example, let's say it is called template 1. If the change temp is equal to that particular template, we want to add some kind of border to all the items. Okay, we want to add some kind of border to the items. So the border that we created is the switch border color, and as it's not the case, all we want to do now is to add an empty string, and that is all. So now I want to format everything very well, and you realize that we have the same result. So all the things that we have to do now is to change that template to different templates. So the first one is the template 1. Let me scroll all the way to the top. So the first one is
template 1, the second one will be template 2, and we'll navigate to the third one. Let's change the template, the third one, and let's change the fourth one as well. So if change temp is triple equals to the fourth one, we want to add that particular border. If it is equals to the fifth one as well, we want to add a specific border. If it is equal to the sixth one, we want to add the same border. And if it is equals to the seventh one as well, we are going to have the same border. And if I navigate to my web page and open the template, now let me navigate to the template, to the original, to the new one that we're building. As you can see, if I click on the first one, it's going to add some kind of border to it. If I click on the second one, it's going to have some kind of border to it, and then the third one, and like so. So I want to do the same thing for the light mode and dark mode as well. So all we have to do now is to add the same logic to the divs that wraps the light mode and then the dark mode icon. What I want to do now is to go with some class names. I'll pass in some class name, and in here I will go with my curly bracket and then the backtick, and I'll go with my $sign again. And I want to say, after my $sign, I'll go with my curly bracket again and specify the color theme. So I want to say if the color theme is triple equals to the light mode, I want to add some kind of class name to it. So I'll just pass the active mode, which is the class name that I have already prepared. And if that is not the case, and it's going to be an empty string. Okay, I'll do that for the second one as well, or for the first one. So all I want to do now is to copy the class name like so and paste it right here. So by doing that, all I have to do is to just change the light mode from dark mode, and you get the gist. So I'll change this to dark mode since we are on the dark mode div. And if I navigate back to my web page like so, you should see the border around the icon. Okay, so if the light mode is active, we should see that border around the icon. If the dark mode is active, we should see that border around the icon. And basically, if I navigate to my template color.scss and go to you see the active color. So in here we have the active color, which adds some kind of background which has some kind of border to the icon. Okay, so basically this is what we have. All right, and I think we have successfully added all the items, all the functionality to our navbar. If I can open it, I can close it, I can change the color, I can switch it all around. So the next thing that I want to do now is to add the gsap animation, like the one that we have originally when we load the page. And yeah, so that is what we are going to do now. So what I'm going to do now is to close everything out like so. So let's navigate to the src folder and go to the component folder. Inside the component, you will see a folder called logo animation. Open the two files, the gsx and the scss. Inside the gsx, I will run by command rafc to create a React functional component, and I will also import the scss file immediately before I forget. And since we are making use of the gsap animation, I have already installed the module called gsap, and it's coming from gsap like so. I also want to import the draw svg plugin for us to register the plugin, and this one particularly is coming from the gsap trial. For us to use the trial version, we need to go with npm install gsap trial, and yeah, make use of all the available package that is provided in it. And now I'll go with my parentheses, and I will have my div here. It's going to have a class name called the logo dash container, and it's also going to have another class name called switch underscore stroke dash color. And I'll also pass in a ref to target this particular div. and the ref name is going to be bgref, like so. And what I have to do is to import the useRef from React, and inside the component, let me create a const called bgref, which is equals to the useRef, like so. I also want to do that to some element that we are going to have inside the div right here. So I'll go with outline ref, like so. It's going to be equals to the useRef. Let's invoke it. Do the same thing for the second outline as well. Outline ref2 is going to be equals to the useRef. We'll do the same thing for the solid logo ref, and it's going to be equals to the useRef. Okay, so basically we are going to have an outline SVG and then the solid logo SVG. So for me to show that to you in action, let me navigate to the completed project, and right now you can see that we have the outline of this logo. So slowly we are going to transition that outline logo into a solid logo that you are seeing right now. So for us to achieve that, we are going to use two logo SVGs and add all this gsap functionality for us to get the outcome. So let's navigate to the src folder to get the logo. Go to the logo.svg, copy everything, navigate back to logo.gsx, just paste everything you are seeing right there, and the class name of the svg, we are going to change it. So the first one is going to be the home logo, and then the second class is going to be the solid logo. Okay, so basically this is the solid logo, and we are going to add the ref method that we have up there, which is a solid logo ref. Okay, the path, which is the path that comes after the svg, we are going to add another class name called the home dash logo, like so. And the color of this path is going to change to 797878, like so. So we need to have the second svg as well. So let me paste the second svg right here, and it's also going to have a class name of home logo instead of sidebar logo. Let me go with home dash logo, and the first part is going to have the ref method of outline ref that we have up there, and then the second part will have the ref method of outline ref2, like so. Okay, so the field is not going to be there. We have the class name on this as well, which is going to be solid dash logo, and now I think we are good to go. So for us to get the result, we are going to go with our react.useEffect. So when the page renders, the animation will start displaying. So okay, the animation will start displaying. So let me go with my react.useEffect. So let me go with my react.useEffect, like so. And now I want to register the plugin by running this method, by declaring this method called gsap.register plugin. I'll pass in the draw svg plugin that I import from the gsap track. Now I'll go with my set timeout to display the item in a specific period. And now let me go with gsap.timeline, and now I'll go with my to method. And inside the to method, I'll pass it the bgref to target the bgref and go with my current. And now I want to set the duration to 1, and I'll also set the opacity to 0. So by default, the opacity will be 0, and when the svg starts loading, the svg will be visible completely. Okay, so we are still going to add another method called the from. And in here, I want to pass in the outline ref. I will get the access to the current value, which is the same svg. And in here, I want to specify the method draw svg and then set it to 0. And then the duration to draw the svg is going to be 4. You can increase this value if you want, but I'm just going to go with 4. I will also go with another from method. I will do the same thing for the second outline. Get access to the current value. Draw the SVG like so, set it to 0, and the duration will also be 4. Okay, so right after this one, I want to go with another gsap method, and in here I will specify the from to method like so. Go with my parentheses and I will pass in the solid logo ref. I will get access to the current value, and it's going to have the opacity of 0 as well. It's going to have the opacity of 0. So right after the first object, I'm going to go with another object, and this one is going to consist of the opacity. Opacity is going to be 0.065, and the delay will also be 4, and we also have the duration. To draw the entire SVG will be 10 seconds like so, and everything is going to happen with the interval of 4 seconds. Let me pass it the 4 seconds right in my set timeout function as the second parameter. And yeah, so we need to get the SCSS file. So let's navigate to the completed project, go to YouTube and go to the final project. Navigate to the final project and go to the SRC folder, then to the components, and you will see the logo animation folder. Okay, so just click on the logo.scss and copy the SCSS file. So when you do that, let me navigate back to the logo.scss and paste all the code. So basically I target the logo container. I added some SCSS styles. The top is 12%, the width is 33%, the position is absolute, left 63, and display block. Okay, the opacity is 0, so later on we add some kind of opacity of 0.065 with gsap in order to display the item. So the same, I believe that everyone could understand this SCSS that I declare up here, and they are pretty simple, and yeah, basically that's it. So for us to see what we've done in action, we need to import this component in my header.gsx. So let me navigate to the header.gsx and go to scroll up to the top, and in here I just want to import logo animation from the file. Okay, so let's scroll all the way to the bottom, and right after this main tag I want to pass my logo animation like so, the logo component, and if I navigate to my web page, if I refresh the web page, we should see some kind of animation right on our screen. Okay, and that should happen any moment from now. Unfortunately, I just realized that there are some things that are missing, and there are some things that I have to remove and add as well. So let's navigate back to the gsap, and instead of the opacity of 0 in here, we're going to add the opacity of 1, and I also have to add my array of dependency. So let me scroll down all the way to the bottom and add my array of dependency to the use effect. And in here, the class name, the letter H is missing, so I'm going to add the H to the home logo. And I also want to remove this class name called the field color on this item, particular item, on the second SVG. I want to remove that as well. And if I navigate to the header.gsx, the logo should be below the link. Okay, the logo should be below the link. I will move it up here, and yeah, basically that's all we have to do. If I navigate back to my web page and refresh, after the animation of this name, you will see the logo animation. So now you're seeing this amazing logo animation, and we'll slowly transition into the solid logo. So basically we have two logos on top of each other, and we are able to do that with the help of animation, gsap animation. So I guess I have tried enough, and this is going to be the end of this particular tutorial. And in our next tutorial, we'll continue from where we stop and display the about section, the contact me section, and other pages as well. So with that being said, I will see you in the next tutorial.